Alright, so here we have a problem that asks us to integrate x to the 5 multiplied by e to the negative x cubed dx. So what do we do here? The first thing that I notice here is that this can potentially become an integration by parts problem as we work on it. But before that, I can recognize something very good here, is that I can potentially do a t substitution, which is the same thing as a u substitution, but I just don't want to get confused up when I do integration by parts. Okay? So for my t, I can easily see that this would be a good candidate. My x cubed would be a great candidate for t. So t, in this case I'll write it in blue, t is equal to x cubed. Then your dt would be equal to 3x squared dx, correct? Now, if I want my dx on its own, then I would just do dt over 3x squared. Now, let's do our substitutions. Where x to the 5, we can break it up into this, right? You would have, if t represents x cubed, then you're going to have an x squared outside, and then you're going to have a t, which represents the x cubed multiplied by the x squared. And now this would become e to the negative t, and this would become dt over 3x squared. Now we've done our substitution. Now let's move on with the question. So now you can see that we have written it out and simplified it out. So when the x squared got cancelled out, all that was left was 1 over 3, and we took it outside of the integral, which is reasonable to do. And so we have t times e to the negative t dt inside of our integral. So again, to use integration by parts, something to understand is that we need to figure out what our u is, what our dv is, what our du is, and our v is, right? As you can see, this is our formula here, and those are essential terms to figure out. So we figured out that our u is equal to t. How do we do that? We use Lie8, which is basically the order that we should look at when we're trying to find our u in this case. So L is for log, I is for inverse, A is for algebraic, T is for trig, and E is for exponential. And if we look at this, e to the negative e to the power of negative t is exponential. So algebraic comes before that, so we have to set our u to t. Our dv is going to be equal to e to the negative t, correct? As negative t, dt, don't forget that. You have to include everything else that is not in our u, all right? And then our du is just going to be the derivative of u, and v is going to be the integral of dv. So basically we figured out everything that's necessary for u substitution. So now let's move forward with plugging in what we know. All right. So let me just get rid of this over here. So we can do this. So our integral, at the beginning we had t times e to the negative t, is going to be dt, forget that, is going to be equal. So I'm going to write that 1 over 3 a little bit later, right? It's going to be equal to negative t e to the negative t, right? We just put in our u and v together, plus the integral of v du, where v is e to the negative t, negative e to the negative t. And why did I choose a plus here? I'm going to get rid of that negative. I don't really mind that. And in this case, our du is just 1, so we just have to write e to the negative t dt. And now when we take the integral of this, right, it's a very simple integral, where we see that this integral is basically equal to negative e to the negative t. All right, so let's rewrite this again. So this is going to be equal to, so I'm going to start from this equal sign over here. It's going to be equal to negative t e to the negative t, right? Minus e to the negative et plus c. So now we've got, I guess, a structure for our integral ready. All we need to do now is plug back t is equal to x cubed back into place. So we just need to plug back t is equal to x cubed. Sub this back in. So this is going to be equal to And also, there's also one thing that you shouldn't forget about. It is your 1 over 3, which we're just going to put in afterwards, all right? So we're just going to keep it outside like so. And even here, I'm just going to put out a 1 over 3 over here like so. Okay, so this is going to be 1 over 3 times, remember, whenever you have a t, you have to put x cubed. So it's going to be negative x cubed e to the negative x cubed minus e to the negative x cubed plus c. Now, the more proper way to write this would actually be taking the c out, right? Usually plus c should be out of the brackets, and that's the better way to write it.